Hey guys, I was just talking to my husband, my twin flame Jack, about how I had these really crazy experiences right before we met. And I want to share about my twin flame manifestation journey so that you can call in love. And also, if you come across some really bizarre circumstances, you will take them as signs rather than being discouraged. So this all happened leading up to the reunion with Jack, my twin flame reunion, the first time we ever met, which you can see my other videos about this. We've talked about it a lot. We met on the dance floor, Ecstatic Dance Oakland. But I was a single woman. I was seriously searching. I'd gone through a lot of trials and tribulations and huge heartbreak with someone I was almost positive was my twin flame, and I went pretty much off the deep end for some time. Went through all this healing, worked with mentors, worked with somatic embodiment, worked with therapists, worked with coaches. I was getting my own degree, my PhD in transpersonal counseling. I'd studied metaphysics for many years. And yet I was like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna meet my person this lifetime, let alone my person who's a twin flame, a mirror of who I am. So it was getting down to the wire in terms of wanting to hit my goal, which was to bring in the star children that I had felt at least 1, 2, or 3 needing to come through this lifetime, really having that in my heart and feeling like my twin flame was out there, but I just didn't know how to get to him. So I learned about how sacred sites are incredibly powerful. I came to Bali, had all these mystical awakenings, and then I was told that I needed to go to Mount Shasta, as many people are on the spiritual awakening path, and that would help me manifest my ultimate twin flame. So I'm like, all right, I'm all in, trip to Shasta. So on the way there, I actually stay in Bend, Oregon, and I have a couple of days with a woman that says she was happy to host me. She was a kind of a online friend. I thought she was super cool. We did some collaborations online. And this woman literally kicks me out of her house. Instead of the week that they said you could stay for, they're like, get out, we want you out tonight. I was like, what? I was like, I'm so sorry. I had no idea that I was disturbing you. I apologize. If that was not my intention. You said to make yourself at home. You said it was okay to work in the kitchen. And there was such an intense, dark energy that just, whoa, my little one, my inner child, my sensitive soul was like freaking out. I'm like, where do I find a place to live? It was high season. All the places were taken on Airbnb. The hotels were booked. I pushed forward a trip that I had been planning to take the next week with my friend who's at Mount Shasta. So I'm like, all right, I'm coming down to Shasta. Drive down to Mount Shasta from Bend, Oregon. And on the highway, I get pulled over. There's like a little station. And they say you can't go any further. There's a huge forest fire and nobody's getting through this highway. And I was like, well, what do I do? How do I get to Shasta? And they're like, well, you won't be able to do that today. You're gonna have to go back up about 45 minutes and find a place to sleep. And I was like, okay, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere here. This crazy miracle actually happened where I end up backing up, actually not all that far. I think it was only 5 minutes into this little logger town. And it was historically known for being a brothel area for the loggers a long time ago. And I stay in the most magical place. I call them up. I'm like, do you have room at the inn? They're like, no, sorry, we're closed today. And I was like, okay, do you know any places? And anyways, this guy was so nice and I was really vibing. Like there was like a soul connection. He's like, why don't you just come I'll show you on the map how to get there. And I was like, thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. And then I go to his house, which is this incredible, it was a renovated, basically like an antique show home that had originally been the hospital to treat all of the STDs of the workers. So it was like this really kind of like weird place, but the energy was like magical and celebrate life and it's okay to be weird. And I ended up spending 24 hours with this man who said, you know what? I feel like you're supposed to stay here. He's like, I just lost my wife last year. And even though today I'm really busy, my son just came back from a holiday from Hawaii. I'm happy to cook you dinner, then I'm gonna go do my thing and just make yourself at home here. how does $50 a night sound? I was like, that's an incredible deal to like stay at like a really beautiful, it was like a TV famous antique boutique hotel. I was like, oh, I feel so happy. And anyways, I spent a lot of the night clearing energy out because the woman had passed away and she had not cleared her energy out, and I could feel her spiritual energy there, like saying like, I need to go. Can you help me? And I was like, yes. I had all this grief lifting from my ex relationship. So I did my psychic work. And after many tears and tissues, the next morning I woke up, had an incredible, this man was an incredible chef. He owned a restaurant. He was like in his 60s. He had total sacred energy. Like, if you want to be a woman treated by the sacred masculine, go and stay in Paris, California, I think. Anyways, this guy Jeff had this incredible B&B. I don't know if it's still open. And he ends up driving me around the next day around the backside of the mountain, and he's like, you know what, you are in good hands because I was a forest ranger here and I know every little back road and you're going to be just fine. I'm going to help you get there. So I'm going to Mount Shasta the other way. And I have this incredible connection with the trees. He drops me kind of halfway and points me how to get there. And I end up going into Shasta town and I get my incredible collection of crystals, most of which I still have today, even though I've downsized from a 3-bedroom home. We moved to Bali. Here, I'll show you my favorite crystal. So I have two. This is a Lemurian wand, and it reminds me of a teeny weeny, and it is a very powerful cord cutting stone, and my husband uses it as a Archangel Michael tool to cut cords with false twin flames and karmic soulmates, and even just any type of energies that don't work. And then the Venus crystal, this is a Venus quartz, and it was $11. I think you can't see that, but for $11, I got this quartz crystal. So I'm up on Shasta, I get my crystals, I am getting all this healing energy, and I'm supposed to meet my friend, and she sends me a pin drop, and it turns out that she's not there. And I'm like, where are you? And she's like, oh dear, I'm so sorry. I sent you the pin drop on the wrong side of the mountain. Like, I was there yesterday and I moved here and I sent you the wrong link. And so like nothing on this trip is going right. It seems like every time it gets smooth, it gets really rough. Also interject that on the way when the fires stopped me, I had this really huge crush on a man named Peter. Peter calls me and I was like so excited because he hadn't called me, like he was gonna call me. He's like, I'll call you soon, I'll call you next week. And it was like, instead of calling me like Monday next week, like after the date, he called me like Sunday. So like, you know, it's kind of like six and a half days later than I was thinking. Still, he called me in the middle of the fire when I had to turn around, and I was like, sorry, I can't talk right now. I have to find a place to stay. I'll just insert this story. Is this man named Peter has the same name as as Jack's father and as Jack's grandfather, and it's his last name as well. It's in his last name. So Peter Peterson. So what's bizarre is that basically the man that I had this huge crush on, I thought maybe we're twin flames. He opened my heart because I hadn't dated in so long, or it hadn't gone very far. And I was like, oh my God, I really could be ready. Like I could move forward with this person. And then we kissed and I was like, oh my God, like I'm ready for marriage. And it was like this full body thing. And I was like, I'm open to it being him. I'm open to it not. And it hurt when he didn't message very quickly, or when he wasn't calling. I was like, okay, but he's working, he's an entrepreneur. Still, he called me in the middle of the fire when I had to turn around, and I was like, sorry, I can't talk right now. What was so weird about it is when I came back, we went on a date, and it turns out that he told me his childhood story, and it was the same exact story as a man named Peter that I dated for kind of on and off for a couple of years back in my 20s. And the story was basically that his father wasn't his father. He found out that his father was actually only his legal guardian, and that his half-brother was not his full-blood brother, and that he was being raised by someone who had adopted him, and that his real father was a drunk, a user, and wanted nothing to do with the family. And so it was interesting because the same story shows up again in this next Peter. Did I have this story in my lineage? And I found out that I did. And this is the power of ancestral healing. I found out that now my late great aunt had lied to her son to not make him feel bad that she'd gotten pregnant out of wedlock. And so there's like this shame story. And this is amazing how epigenetics works. And when I finally was on this date and this man says, I've never met my father. The Peter during the fire, when he calls me after the fires, after I go to Shasta and have this big twin flame activation, which I'll tell you about in a second. But he, Peter, we meet in San Francisco for this sexy, lovely date. It's our third date. It's really exciting. Things were going well. After like our big kiss, which felt like twin flame sparks and fireworks. And then he tells me that he's never met his father. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. He's like, yeah, he's actually dying from cancer. I might want to meet him. And I'm like, well, why haven't you met your dad? He's like, actually, he raised, it's a secret. Like he basically had me out of wedlock and he has another family. And I was like, what about your brothers are half brothers? He's like, yeah, no, so his two other brothers, all three of them were raised in secrecy with this dark secret that in a town a couple miles away, in Sonoma County, California, he had a whole family, a half family actually. And he said, it was kind of weird when I went to college and I had a class with my half sister and there was like this big family secret and I couldn't really tell her, but we really looked alike and I wanted to say hi, sister, and like, should I hug her? Should I ignore her? So I said, look, Peter, I've done so much healing on myself and my ancestors, and I honestly think like you need to talk to your dad if you want to heal your stuff. And the date just ended and it was something that I probably came off too strong. It's how I was back then. What I should have said is something like, wow, I have so much compassion for your situation. And, I really hope you find out like the best solution for you. And what I'm looking for is something really family oriented where people have done a lot of healing work on themselves. That was the meta message that I had. But I was kind of like, get out of my way. I'm done with family drama. I've already healed a lot of my own stuff. I've healed it from my ancestors. I've done family constellations, all kinds of things. So fast forward, or I'm not telling the story in a linear way. It's how I think, sorry. But so I go up to Shasta. My friend is like in the wrong side of the mountain. We're supposed to go camping together. It's like all this drama going on. It's smoky. But I had my twin flame crystals and we did do an activation and just all this smoke was there. It was so smoky and we camped in our own cars because the smoke was so thick that we were like, we probably shouldn't be breathing this stuff. So it was like a twin flame, like fire going on as I'm doing this activation. And I ended up, I don't know if it was the smoke or if I was just tired, but I slept so well on the mountain. I normally don't when I'm camping. I slept 11 hours. My friend was like, I was up half the night. How did you sleep? I'm like, oh, sorry. Anyways, so it was really an incredible feeling being up on Shasta. It was also chaos. It was also this, big forest fire, like it, as cataclysmic events or even just, kind of normal late summer fires can be. It's like uncomfortable. It's intense energy. It's like a purging. So I felt this light and dark energy. I felt like when I was dating this guy named Peter, I was like, whoa, he could be my twin flame. I feel so sexy and high. And then I was like, whoa, there's like a lot of drama that like I'm an empath that, shoot, I didn't meet the real deal. So I let it all go and I'm like, this is it. I'm done. I'm moving to San Diego anyways. I'm going to let go of this summer and just start my life and give it all up in Northern California, where I'm from. And then of course, before I leave Northern California, which, I'd been anchored there on and off since I was born, besides going to college and traveling abroad, it was always my like root. I cut the cords with my root. I did my Shasta activation, this dark and light thing. And before I knew it, my very last 2 weeks, I meet my husband at Ecstatic Dance Oakland, and then he asked me to come to Burning Man with him. I can't resist. It was like one last final hurrah. And we've been together ever since. So the themes are, if things are crazy, like chaos is happening. Oh, and when I went to Burning Man, I lost all of my things. They ended up getting locked into a storage area. I ended up being part of this camp, but I wasn't officially there because I got this ticket really late, and all this chaos and magic. It was like magic and chaos, synchronicity, bad things happening, amazing miracles happening. I ended up getting my stuff, but I was so traumatized by losing my wallet, my keys, all of my clothing. I was wearing a tutu in the desert. It gets cold at night. I was wearing a lace top, and I'm like looking for my stuff off the playa, like asking a woman who has probably a shotgun, and she gets mad at me and she's like, I don't want you to use my phone. You're not being very nice. And I'm trying to be so courteous. I'm like, whoa, she's like really mental. Her cat's like batting at my tutu. And I'm just like, is it okay if I use your internet? Because I know that the guy's probably leaving who has this like storage area, and it's this big double-decker purple bus. And I think I know the website for it. And she's like, get out of my house. And I'm just like, okay, I'm working all of this trauma, this karma, this pain. Oh my gosh, there's even other stories before I came to meet my twin flame. It was also that summer traveling in Italy, all this karma, and like I could go on and on. So if you are going through, it's a lot of stuff, but it's getting resolved. It's like you're in a battle and you're just like shield, sword, like stuff is coming at you, but it's like working now versus before the union. It was like I was getting tested, but I was getting so smacked down, and I got to that low point, and then I had to rise up again. So maybe you resonate with that. Maybe you've met your twin flame, or if you are on the journey and you're just wondering what it could be like. I have seen that. I've worked with women in over 30 countries around the world and met people, talked to people. What is your twin flame journey like? No two stories are alike. It's really incredible. And honestly, I've had some of the weirdest stories that are even darker than mine be told. They've been told by gurus, like, this is your twin flame, and they end up becoming almost psychotic and going crazy, thinking this person's their twin flame. And then it turns out that they find their free will and voice again, and then they find a totally different person than they thought. I mean, there's just so many crazy stories. The key here is have a lot of strength, compassion, patience, and use your discernment. Weird stuff is going to go down before you meet your person, and it is kind of like a resistance melting process, as well as a strength building practice. It's like going to the gym. You break down the muscle, the old one, and then you get stronger. So I hope this video left you with a nugget, or at least some entertainment. I would love to hear from you. What did you think about my journey, or how's your journey going? Do you have any questions? Thanks for being here on our channel. See you in another video. Namaste, namaste. And a quick love infomercial for those of you goddesses who want it all and you want my private support. I am offering twin flame activation sessions this month of October only for a crazy divine deal. So a twin flame activation with me looks different for every single woman who walks in the door. I've given over 1,000 of these sessions, and I've helped women in over 30 countries around the globe to manifest their true love. And it starts really inside of themselves. So with a blend of somatic healing, releasing stuck energies psychically, through trauma release, through past life regression. You never know what's going to come up in a session. Chakra healing, energy attunement, aura tune-ups. It could be embodied movement, voice alchemy. A lot of the time, I just channel whatever the person needs. So I've had women who come away from the twin flame activation and they meet their person the next day. I've done twin flame activations and they've met the person in the next hour. That is not the goal, because we don't want to force things to happen too soon, especially if there is a pattern of trauma. We don't want your twin flame union to turn into a trauma bond. We want to identify what are the blocks and clear them first. So if you have been working and hustling on your own, or maybe you've been working with a therapist and they're just not getting the twin flame piece, or maybe you've been working with relationship coaches and spiritual teachers and they're just not getting the whole you as the powerful feminine goddess love leader that you are, and you resonate with my work, I would love to make this an awesome opportunity for both of us to create more twin flame love codes on the planet,
heal while having a blast and blasting open the universe to the next level. So I'm going to put the link to the session below. And if you have any questions, you can email our team at info@aphroditeuniversity.org. Normally, my hourly rate averages to around $1,000 an hour. And normally, my clients will sign up for a package of 3 months and work at the really high-end level. So this is an opportunity to be accessible. I want to share my gifts with the world. I'm so excited to get down and dirty and divine into whatever is holding you back from your true twin flame love experience, whatever that looks like for you, and to get clarity. So I thank you. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for letting me share my services and listening and tapping into if this aligns with you. Don't wait. Take action. You deserve to be pampered, supported, and to have everything that your heart desires. And Yoni too.